Hi, welcome to Organizational Behavior, Developing Healthy Organizations. This is the first lesson. My name is Andrew Sears, and I'm the president of City Vision University. Hopefully, if you're in this course, you have a passion for creating and developing healthy organizations. Many of us have been a part of unhealthy organizations, and I think that all of us will want to apply the principles in this course and how do you actually develop healthy organizations. So in the next slide, I'm going to talk about the course outcomes, and this really is a summary of the major projects in our courses. We are very practical in all our courses. So what the projects in this course, the first one is to develop a personal leadership development plan based on the results of what's called a workplace behavioral profile. And then the second one is going to be to apply the competing values framework. That's one of your textbooks to yourself individually, to your department and your organization to make some recommendations. Then develop a manager's guide to developing healthy and effective teams. You're going to do that in week 5. And apply major theories of organizational behavior into a manager's guide for organizational behavior for your organization. That's in week 7. And then the final project in the course is to create a plan for organizational cultural change to improve organizational health based on the competing values framework and the principles of organizational behavior. So that's going to be kind of a summary of the whole course. So I want to talk about how this course helps you become a more balanced leader and a more balanced manager. One of the core concepts of this course is what's called competing values framework, and I translate this into ministry terms, but often in ministries you have people who come from a business background, and you have people who come from a ministry background, might have gone to a Bible school, and often they're coming from different frameworks, or you might have program people that are different from the business people. Then you often have entrepreneurs. My dominant strength, I would say, is the entrepreneurial side, and then you have operations and accounting people, and these are in tension. And for all of our courses, they operate in one of these quadrants. So this course itself is organizational behavior. It's really focusing on ministry and relational skills. How do you have health? That's the focus here. It also helps inform. The reason why I put nonprofit human resources is because this course provides a lot of the foundation that could help provide strategies for human resources. And then also in our strategic planning course, it would feed into those. And then the other courses we have are business and funding competencies. And then we have courses on operations and governance competencies and innovation competencies. And one of the ideas of our whole degree program is that to be a good manager, you need to have skills and perspective across all 4 quadrants. So in this course, and one thing I might emphasize, even though I put this in the ministry quadrant, it's actually pretty close to the center. It has a lot of implications on the strategy. So in this course, just to give you the weekly outline, we're going to start off and talk about an introduction to organizational behavior. Week 2, we're going to get into the competing values framework. Week 3, we're going to go into organizational design, culture, and change. Week 4, we're going to get into how do you develop healthy teams and organizations. Week 5, we're going to continue about groups, decisions, communication, and conflict, but talking also about teams. Week 6, we're going to talk about employee motivation, behavior, and burnout. Many of you have either encountered burnout or know people who have. Week 7, we're actually going to get to, okay, you've learned all these things, so how do you apply leadership principles? And then week 8 is a culmination, is how do you actually lead change using the principles in this course. So one thing that's really important to recognize, so according to accreditation standards, a 3-credit course should take 135 hours of student activity. So that means you should plan to spend about an average of 17 hours per week on each 3-credit course. So let me talk a little bit more about the design of this course. So we provide you with content that is, kind of the foundation, but then your goal there should be to remember. So as you're going through the content in the course, take notes, highlight, take notes on your computer, take notes on paper, however you prefer to take notes. But you're going to be going through a lot of video, so you'll want to write down the notes from that. And then this is something that's called Bloom's taxonomy, and it's the idea is that learning builds on itself. So we're going to have some things that you're going to feel like, okay, these quizzes are super basic. Well, that's because we're testing you on something super basic, and then we're going to build on things that are more advanced. So we go from quizzes is the most basic level. They're really low stakes, so don't spend as much time as you would on your projects. Some people get it backwards. They'll spend most of their time on a 2% of their grade. So don't do that. But forums and live meetings are the next tier. And there you're going to be talking a lot more about application. And then we start to get into the major projects. So week 2 is this workplace behavioral profile plan. And there you're going to be doing a lot of analysis. And then same thing with week 4. You're going to be linking the personal, team, and organizational profiles using competing values framework. Week 5, you're going to develop a guide for healthy and effective teams. And then all that is going to build up to week 7, which is a manager's guide to organizational behavior. That's going to basically be a summary of all the textbook. Now, I put this lower because honestly, we are an applied organization, so the textbook isn't as important as the applied information. So the higher up you are, probably the more time you should spend on these things. And the last project is going to be where you're going to create something. You're going to essentially try to integrate everything you've learned in the course into your final project, and that's going to be the organizational cultural change project. So what is organizational behavior? Organizational behavior is the study of really 3 dimensions. So human behavior in organizational settings, this green area. The organization itself, that's this tan area. And then the interface between the individual and the organization. Now, this is a very theoretical framework. Let me get into more details. So another way of framing this is across these dimensions. And this is actually going to be kind of an outline of a lot of the chapters you're going to cover in your book. So why do individuals do what they do? What are the differences in individuals? What things motivate individuals? So you have chapters that cover all of these things. And then why do groups and teams do what they do? And then what role do leaders play? How do you design and develop organization? So organizational structure, culture. And then what makes managers, how can you influence this? And all of these things, this is kind of an outline of the chapters you're going to be covering in your organizational behavior book. Now, there's 2 books in this course, the organizational behavior textbook and the competing values leadership. This is an application book. I put that one as bold because that one's actually going to be more important, even though it's less pages. Another way of framing this is there's 2 types of material that you're covering in this course. One is academic theories on organizational behavior, and that's going to be coming out of this organizational behavior textbook and videos that you're going to go through. And then the application. So because we're so applied as an organization, a lot of schools you'll go to and you'll only get the textbook. For us, the textbook is secondary. The primary thing is the application. And that's the second part of the course title. It's not just organizational behavior. The application is how do you create healthy organizations and teams. There we're going to be using competing values leadership and a lot of videos and outside reading. So as you're going through the textbook, one thing to recognize is that often we're going to display material. You're going to have a to read and to watch, and then you'll have some slides. What I would recommend you do is you go through one chapter at a time, and you're going to look at organizational structure and design. And I would read that chapter. You can look through the slides, and that's going to be kind of a summary of the chapter. And then, the way this works is often if you were, taking a course in person, you would read the chapter, then go to the lecture with the faculty. So that's essentially what this is down here. So, you could read these sections on organizational design and structure, and then take notes through all of that, and then do the same thing with organizational culture. And then you could use that to, I would say shortly after that, you want to go ahead and take the quiz. But one key point is that your week 7 major project, you're going to be essentially saying all the stuff from this big textbook. What is most important for people in my organization if they were a manager? And you're going to be creating a manager's guide. So as you take notes, keep that in mind. So hopefully this is helpful. I am excited that you are in this course, and hopefully we'll learn together how to build healthy organizations and teams. Thanks a lot.